Hello, everyone, and welcome back to your favorite podcast, The Atelier, with your host, MJ. Before we start with the actual podcast and with the pauses, I want to apologize to y'all because my brother does not care about it, and he's literally listening to all of his videos with the highest volume you could ever imagine, and he started doing that since the middle of the podcast, and he still continues with that. So I'm sorry for that, but still hope you really like this podcast because I'm in love. Guys, today I bring you the 14 most popular house aesthetics. At the beginning it was going to be 14, but it ended up being too many, and I think the pod is going to be too long if I say all of them. So I'm only going to be showing you 10 of them, and later on I'm going to publish on the IG account of the Atelier the other 4 that we are missing to tell you, so that you can also go in there and look it up and have some fun and comment what's your favorite. And probably we're going to start doing some reels with those because I've seen some of them and I'm in love. So we're going to begin with the first type of house aesthetic, which is the modern. We all confuse all of these types of houses, but I'm going to start with the modern one because it's kind of a little bit of what I want in my house, a little bit of my aesthetic. So a modern house, it's clean, it's sleek, it's simple. There is just one simple color palette, and it's mostly white. So there's just a lot of simplistic furniture, and people normally use in this type of houses a lot of metal, glass, steel. There are not too many accessories, and not too many curved lines are made in the structure of the house. Most of these houses, the modern aesthetic comes from the 20th century, and it's not actually something like modern as in today's fashion or today's aesthetic. That's contemporary, which is the second house aesthetic that we're going to be talking about. It is based on the present, so it can vary. It can be in today's present, but if we were in the 1950s, it would be in that aesthetic. So it would be quite different. So that one is a little bit of a changing aesthetic. And it's just not strict, and it has curvy lines. It's a little bit the opposite of what the modern one was. Then we're coming off with the third one, which is, I believe, one of my favorites. It's the minimalistic. It has modern designs. So it's a combination between modern and contemporary, but it's just a lot simpler. There is nothing excessive. There is everything like neutral colors. And the furniture, same as the modern one, it's very simple and it's streamlined. It's also everything has to be functional and extremely clean. And now we're going to make a pause to continue with the other 3, and we're going to keep it up running like that. So, now that we have had our little music pause, we're coming off with a very popular aesthetic that is popping off right now. It's the industrial aesthetic, which, for those of you who don't know, it's inspired by warehouses and urban lofts. It makes you feel like there's everything is unfinished. And it's common to see exposed bricks and ductwork and wood, so it's not going to be completely painted in like white, or it's not going to be completely finished. It's going to make you feel like there's some parts missing from the house, but that's the aesthetic of that type of house. Then we're coming off with the fifth one, which is mid-century modern. This is one aesthetic that I had no clue about. It has a throwback to the mid 19,000s, so it would be around 1950s, 1960s, and it makes you feel like a retro nostalgia. And it has natural or organic shapes, like the egg shape. I don't know if you have seen those egg-shaped chairs. Those are a very good type of furniture for this type of house. And then there is also the Scandinavian, another type of house that I would have never recognized. This type of house makes you feel like the house is a work of art. You know, it's very simple and it has a sculptural influence. So everything's very functional, same as the minimalistic and modern one. And it's all white. Like, everything is white. The color palette is literally only white. And sometimes there are some neutral elements like wood or bright plastic. But most of it is like white. Sometimes also you can use aluminum. I don't know how you say that, so please just let me know in the comments if I'm saying it right or wrong. You can also use steel sometimes, and people use natural fiber or sometimes art to decorate the Scandinavian type of houses. It's also a very spacious house, so there is nothing extra in that type of houses, and it's mostly used for those houses that want to be sold, so that you have everything, you don't need anything, you have everything in here in this type of house, even if you want something else, something different, a different aesthetic. Before we go into the other pause, I want to say also these Scandinavian houses use a lot of natural light and, as I said, a lot of functional furniture. So there is nothing extra and it's simple. So it's a little bit minimalistic, a little bit modern, but it's completely white, and it has, like, for example, wood, or sometimes it's just basically white. It's functional. And that's what you would think for minimalistic. But the thing in minimalistic, it's modern. In the other one, in the Scandinavian one, not everything is modern. Sometimes there are things that just don't fit everyone's aesthetic, not the real minimalistic one. So if I can, I'm going to be posting some pictures on IG, and if I can, I'm going to be showing you in the video. First, I'm recording the podcast and then the video, so we'll see if we can do that. So we are already going for the seventh house aesthetic, but we have 4 left: traditional, transitional, French country, and Bohemian. And of course the other 4 that I'm not going to be talking about, but I'm going to be showing them on the IG. But since we're only limiting 4 and we're making pauses every 3, we're going to make 2 pause too. And then I'm going to talk to you a little bit about my house aesthetic. And well, yeah. So continuing on with the traditional, not transitional, traditional house aesthetic, it has a lot of classic details. It's sumptuous furnishing and abundance of accessories. So it has like a lot of accessories. There is the use of a lot of wood, like dark wood. It also comes from the European sensibility. So kind of like when you think of traditional, think a little bit of European houses type. Some common materials are, as I said, dark wood, rich color palette. So there's not a specific color palette in the house. There are a lot of variety of textures and curved lines. So opposite to, for example, minimalistic or modern. Not minimalistic, but only modern. There are curved lines. You can also use a lot of detailed furniture and patterns, textures, and sometimes lingerie, and that's what is used in the traditional one. Now, the transitional, which sounds pretty similar, the name, but it's completely different. It's this aesthetic taken from traditional or modern, so it's not too much of anything, and it gives a sense of balance. It also incorporates modern materials like glass, and sometimes it is united with plush furnishing, and it also uses a lot of neutral colors and gives a sense of tranquility and calm. So this is a space where you can relax. The transitional house is like a place where you can relax, like just by seeing it, you know? It's not a house where, for example, the traditional one, you feel like you're in the past, you feel like you're completely different. In the transitional, you feel yourself and you feel in your most relaxed senses. I don't know how to explain that, but it's a calm house, basically. Now, let's go to another part. Well, we're coming off now with the ninth category or ninth house aesthetic, which is French country, another aesthetic that I had no idea it existed. And I want to study architecture and I didn't know some of this, so that's quite surprising for me. So the French country has a lot of earth-colored palettes, and its ornaments are wooden mostly. It feels like a farmhouse. So it's inspired. This French country houses are inspired in the farmhouses. It has a soft and strong red, yellow, or orange tones, since they are kind of like earth colors. And people also use stone brick and natural colors. As I was saying, it has a lot of natural earth colors to just kind of like give the sense that you're in a farmhouse, that you're having like a vacation. So that's kind of like the sense of this type of houses. It also includes ornate porcelain dishes, which I'm in love with those. And it also uses heavy lines and bed covering. And last but definitely not least, and especially for this episode, it might be the last, but not really. Like I told you, there are 14 the 14 most famous ones, and I'm only saying 10 of them, so it's not actually the last one. So the Bohemian home aesthetic reflects a lot of carefree with little rules. That's what the internet said. So it's basically a house with no rules, and it's just everything you like, you can put it on. There is not a specific aesthetic for this one. There's just put what you like in this, that it feels like you're free in this space. So you will see a lot of floor chairs or poofs, as some call them. And it also may include vintage furniture and light fixtures. So it's also inspired in the textiles and rugs. And as I told you, the floor pillows are found literally in every Bohemian house. So it's something very popular in this type of aesthetics, and nothing goes wrong. Everything goes along with what you want for your house. So there's no right or wrong furniture in this type of house. So now I'm entering into my Pinterest account, my personal interest account, because I love Pinterest. And remember, the Atelier has its own Pinterest account where we also sometimes upload some pins that you can pin if you want. And I'm trying to find my house aesthetic, because I feel like I do not have a real house aesthetic. I just have like things I love. So I could be Bohemian easily, but not really. So there is something I do love, and it's plants. I'm in love with eco-friendly houses. I don't know if you have seen the picture of the building in Milan that is like a forest in a building. There are tall trees and it's just that I'm in love with that type of aesthetic. I'm a lot of big windows, like that everyone could see everything I'm doing, but also have a little bit of privacy. I'm a lot of curvy lines, so I'm not modern. I could be, I could be everything and anything at the same time, because I see all of these types of houses, like some black triangular, some black literal shape house, some curvy ones, and I'm in love with all of them. I see the farmhouses, I see industrial houses, I see contemporary, everything. And I feel like I do not have a personal aesthetic, so I actually genuinely want to know what's your type of house aesthetic. Where would you love to live in? And what's your favorite type of aesthetic? Like, what's your dream house? And if you can share a picture and tag us in it, and we'll be talking about it also probably on next episode or on the trying aesthetics episode, because we are in love with this. Thank you guys for listening to this podcast, and well, I really hope you enjoyed it, and hopefully we can upload the images and upload everything on IG and probably something on Instagram. But I'm in love with all of this, and guys, I really, really, really want to thank you for listening, and see you in the next episode. Bye. Hello everyone, and welcome back to your